morning, Sonder family. It is indeed a lovely day because we are here together. Good morning. Good morning. It's Monday. My name is Jennifer Ogilvy, and I'm in the Dallas, Texas area, Garland, Texas. And I get to be your facilitator this morning. And I ran in and grabbed a fresh cup of coffee, and I picked this cup for you guys. Oh, it's probably, I don't know if it's backwards or not, but it says, "You are special today." So there's my little shout out to the awesome Sonder family. I'm so glad to be with you. Joining me on the call this morning, my co facilitator, you have the former Team Texas in the house. Katie Gideon is going to be taking a look at that chat, helping you along the way if you have any questions as things come up. And Katie is actually, we were both in Texas when we started our facilitator jobs with Silk and Sonder. And so we call ourselves Team Texas, but she's actually across the pond in Edinburgh. And I'm just really super excited for her because this is a really great week because her mom and dad are coming to visit her. And I'm so excited that Katie's got such a great week to look forward to. So good morning. I'm seeing a lot of familiar names in the chat. Is there anybody here for the very first time for a setup, for a weekly setup to dig into that week? We'd like to give you a very big warm family welcome. Oh, Patricia set that chat to everyone. Patricia says she's new for the first time. Melissa's here for the first time. Lacey's new. Good morning, friends. Paula, we are so glad you're here. Jen, yay, another Jen here. We've got lots of just Rebecca's saying hello, new friends, welcome, new friends. Make sure you set that chat to everyone. Oh, Carla's new. Welcome. We're so glad to have you. We feel like this is our accountability date with one another so that we are intentional with our journal and that we make sure that we set up for the week. It's just really nice, to know that people are waiting with you or waiting for you and working with you. Just like if you're at my front door waiting for me to go down the street and take a good long morning walk, I'm going to feel a little more intentional when I know that that accountability partner is there. So we're so glad you're here. So again, if you don't see to everyone, go click on that little blue box and change from host and panelist to everyone, because we do a lot of sharing in the chat. If you are new here, you will hear us say, this journal you are invited to use it just as it is. But this morning, I have a lot of things to share with you, ways that you can repurpose any of these spaces so that the journal really fits your needs and the things you have going on in your life. And all the examples I have are from fellow Silk and Sonder journalers. So if you see something that you like, grab your phone, do a picture, or get your screenshot keys ready on your keyboard and save some of those things, because it can be a little overwhelming when you're looking at all these pages and trying to figure out what should I do here. And then you can go back and think about, I'm a gardener, and I think changing this section up as my garden log for the week, especially with springtime coming, that might be just what you need to stay on track with the goals for the things that you want to do in your life. So, all righty, let's get going. We always want to remind you this is a safe space. These are our community guidelines. We always put this slide up at the beginning of our time together as a reminder that we do create a safe space, and there's just some little rules to follow. But the most important one is always remember, when you are gathering, when you're working in your journal, especially on journaling prompts where we're doing a little bit deeper digging into ourselves, these times together help support our emotional health. But if any time anything feels a little scratchy, a little uncomfortable, don't work on it. Wait till you're in the headspace to do so. That's not so much at our setups because we're really doing kind of that productive piece of our lives when we do these weekly setups. But sometimes we'll hit some of these prompts, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not ready to work on this," and that's okay. Always take care of your own emotions and well-being. Alrighty, our time this morning, we're going to be starting off with that momentum mind map. And Leanne's asking for the YouTube channel. We're going to share all those links at the end. We've got a lot of links to share with you today, Leanne. Thanks for bringing that up. We're going to do our mind map, our rosebud thorn, and our weekly setup pages. And our mind map, for those of you who are new, it's a bonus journaling activity that you get when you come to these weekly setups. And what we do is we take the theme of the month, and then each week we dig in through a different journal prompt, a different lens of about that theme. So this month it's going to be momentum. So we're going to do a deep dig into what momentum looks like in our own personal lives. So I wanted to share this little bit from Meha's letter that she wrote to us. It's at the front of the journal. You guys have heard me say before, read that letter. I always feel like it's a love note to us, but it helps us kind of understand why we're doing this theme, what Meha's thinking about, and I love this quote. This month, I urge you to notice in which areas of your life you feel most stagnant. What holds you back from progressing forward, and why? How might you switch up the narrative and take that first baby step? How might you integrate a new routine to accelerate you a little faster with a little more intention? And there's such gold in what she writes to us because when I think of the word momentum, I think whoosh, right? That kind of that physics term, and the forces involved, and it feels fast and like it has to happen immediately. And yet, we might just need to do some small baby steps. We get to define what momentum looks like where we are in our lives. So for some of us, it is going to be fast motion, push ahead, move forward. And for others, it might be that we need to step back and kind of take a bigger look at our lives and figure out where are our steps, those baby steps to get us moving forward. And the whole thing I want to really focus on with that momentum is progressing forward, and it will look different for each one of us. It may be slower for some of us, and it may be fast motion for others. And it's the main thing to remember, it's the right thing for us, as individuals. So, as I mentioned, we're going to do a deep dig into momentum this month with our March Momentum Mind Map. We said it's M to the 4. And so this week, our first question is reflecting on your life, where do you feel stuck or lacking in development? And this just really feeds into that quote from Maya's letter. And then on the other hand, where do you sense the most progress and positive movement? And if you were with us in February, we had an exercise in our February journal about duality. I am this, but I am also this. And so I feel like this question really springboards off of that duality mindset. We're both, we can be proud of something and we can also be working on something. We're a work in progress. So I answered it this way. My stuck or lacking in development is consistent nutrition, sleep, movements, basically all the things that I struggle with just being healthy and good for me. And then this lack of motivation and lack of patience with the process. And so it's interesting that we are working on momentum this month because I actually am putting some new things in place that I'm going to share with you through the journal to do a better job of embracing my health. I haven't been feeling well. And so I know I need to take some action, right? I can't keep putting stuff off. But that said, I'm proud of the steps I've taken in retirement, plus a newish community. We moved 3.5 years ago, and I'm getting more engaged in things that are important and meaningful to me. And I feel like I'm embracing this new chapter in a very positive way. I'm moving forward. So that's kind of my duality look on momentum in my life, where I'm stuck, but what I'm proud of also. This mind map can be set up anywhere in your journal. I gave you a little tip bubble there. This month, I have mine on my very last page. That's a tip from the one of our facilitators, Bailey. She says if you put it on that last page, it's really easy to find that way when you're flipping from week to week. But you may also go and use some other spaces. And Callan just asked how many rows are of each of those squares, and I'm so glad you asked that because yeah, how do I set that up? If you wanted to duplicate mine, that is 9 little squares in each one of the spaces. So you just count 9 little rows, and it will end up perfectly for 4 weeks. That was a new discovery for me. So I'm glad you asked that. So this can be done anywhere in your journal. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to give you a moment to reflect on this question. We're just reflecting on week 1, and then you'll come back to week 2, 3, and 4 for the rest of the work that we're going to do with our momentum mind map this month. Alrighty. I know that the first week, especially when we're setting up our mind map, this time goes really, really quickly. Be sure to grab a screenshot of this if you're not quite finished up and you didn't get the question written down. But also remember that these socials are recorded and we're going to share the link to the YouTube channel. And it usually takes a day or so, a business day or so, for those videos to show back up, but you can always access this setup as well as a ton of others. If you need to go back and kind of tweak anything. So don't let this overwhelm you, right? That's not what our time together is, but we do have a limited amount of time. Again, it's the fastest hour in our week. It sure beats an hour of exercise when we're together. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to push on to our next activity because we do have a lot to cover. So we are now going to take a moment to reflect on our past week by doing our rose, bud, thorn reflection. Now, if you are in your March journal, you're going to find this reflection on page 30. If you are a purist and you are like, I'm finishing up that last full week of February in February journal, you're going to want to turn to page 56 for this exercise. And the rosebud thorn reflection just allows us to take time to kind of peek backward, take a look at what went well this week. What were those roses and those buds, the things that excited us, new opportunities, things that we're proud of? What was the most positive thing from the week? Those are going to be your roses. And then when we look at those buds, what's coming up? And for me, many times it's just a brand new week is my bud. I don't overthink it. It's just, fresh start every week. That's why I love the Silk and Sonder journal. And then the thorns are what did not go well. And some thorns are temporary. And I know that some of you have thorns that you are living with. They're your healthcare provider, you're dealing with your own health journeys. But it is so powerful to write that down and to acknowledge it and just let it kind of live there on the page. And sometimes we're lucky that we can just write it down and leave it behind. Perhaps this is a time when you look at that thorn and you do get that duality mindset. This didn't go so well, but I'm going to really focus on that rose or those buds that are happening. So for me, I'll start with my thorn. I had a mammogram last week and I just do a number on myself with the mental load of waiting for results. And last year I had a bad one and had to go in for a lot more stuff and we have terrible insurance, so then it was very costly and it just causes a lot of angst. And so I did do my reflection with Katie. She has been involved in all three setups this weekend. I did mine with Katie on Saturday, and it's Saturday at that time. It was the mammogram and the angst that comes with waiting. But late Saturday night, grabbed the mail, and for some weird reason, the letter came. I saw that the letter was coming. I thought it was going to be my financial responsibility, but it was my everything's all clear letter. So that thorn actually turned into a rose since Saturday's setup. My bud is I have my sewing machine at the repair shop. So I'm crossing my fingers she can be recovered so that I can get back to one of my passions. And then my rose was I got to grand sit my puppy sit my little grand dog for 11 days. And we returned her yesterday, but I just love having a dog around. So let's take a moment to work on your roses, your buds, and your thorns. And feel free to share in the chat. Let us celebrate with you, but let us also hold space with you for those thorns that you're dealing with. Back to check in. Your roses are making me smile. There's vacation plans in the works. Just those joyful things of life, and then some thorns, some, sticky things. So we do support you, and thanks for sharing. Sometimes just being able to put it out here in this space is just enough for, our well-being. Like, okay, I've kind of let it go because I'm sharing with my Sonder family. So thank you for doing that. I hope that this week is filled with way more roses than thorns. So now, if you'll turn to pages 32 and 33 in your March journal, we're going to set up those 2 pages for our week. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. If you've been here with me before, I'd like to share this. These are the many different ways you could use these spaces. And again, please do not feel overwhelmed as we're looking at all of this stuff. You're going to land on what works for you, and you are invited to change things up every week or leave things exactly as you do it every week. And I actually have done something new this week that I'm going to share with you. I've been doing it a couple of weeks, and I always thought I was this person all the time, and I've changed a couple of spaces because they're working better for what I'm trying to do right now. So grab a screenshot of that if that's something you want to take a look at later, and think about, like, oh yeah, check-in list would be great, or I love doing a dream tracker, whatever might speak to you. So the first thing we're going to do is think about, how do we want to feel this week? And this can be a number of words. This can be a word for every day of the week, depending on what you have going on. You can throw a sticker here. You can use a mantra. Was there an affirmation that spoke to you last week? And this doesn't have to change from week to week. You can embrace the same word you had last week if that's what is working in your life. So feel free right now, drop in the chat. What are you thinking about this week? What do you have ahead of you? And what is that telling you about the feeling you want to embrace this week? And for me, because I am kind of really trying to embrace momentum through my health, I have chosen consistent for this week because I'm trying to establish some new habits. And James Clear always says, try not to miss 2 in a row. So I'm trying to be consistent with that. I'm seeing focused, collected, magical. Oh, Leslie, I love you want to feel magical. That makes me smile. Victory at work. Okay, Marion, we're cheering for you. Positively productive, lighthearted. Oh, Amanda, you're struggling with some pain. So you've got some challenges this week. So we are going to send you some good juju out there as you're trying to figure out the words you want to embrace to be able to move forward. Maybe the theme of the month, momentum. You just need that momentum to carry you through the month. Sure, and steady. Yes, Portia. Lighthearted, empowered, clean, take care of yourself, be a goal crusher queen, to feel alert, rested, cheerful, intentional, steady. Okay, I hope some of these are maybe speaking to you if you're having a little trouble landing on something, that you'll be inspired by one of our fellow journeyers through the week. And so now that we've got that feeling down in writing, let's kind of take a look forward of how we're going to get there and what our week is going to look like by looking at those 3 major goals. And I love this quote from Tony Robbins. It's definitely about momentum. The most important thing you can do to achieve your goals is to make sure that as soon as you set them, you immediately begin to create momentum. So that's why it's so important to put it on paper. You've already taken that first step of really solidifying what you are wanting to embrace this week. It's more than just thinking about it. That first step, that first little piece of that momentum with that goal is writing it down. So in this section, there's a lot of ways to come up with your goals for the week. You can go take a look at the intention page. How are your goals supporting the intentions that you wanted for the month, or those things you want to do every single day this month that you put on that big monthly habit tracker? And oh, I forgot to change this slide. I have confidence. How do you set your goals through the lens of the theme of the month? This month last month it was confidence. This month it's momentum. No goals. What maybe some things need to be eliminated that are not serving you anymore. So you have some no goals. What outstanding goals are left maybe from February that you want to bring forward because they're still important to you to get accomplished? Do a personal challenge. I'm going to show you a lot of ideas about categorizing your goals, maybe choosing 3 categories and a goal that accompanies each one of those. And then if you did your word of the year or you created a vision board, go take a peek at that and consider what your goals might look like if you're embracing some of the work you did there. So here are some examples from you who are awesome. You can see the first one there. They want to feel better. And so each one of their goals for the week, to feel better, I need to make my bed. I need to cleanse to show my body that I appreciate it for surviving. I need to treat myself. So that's how this person's going to embrace that feeling of the week. There are, look at the mind, body, spirit right next to there. There's the 3 things for each one of those categories that they're going to work on. The next one to that, as we're kind of moving over to the right, look at that little statement there. There's the goals, but why? Why did I choose this? Why am I writing this down? Why do I want to do this? And I love kind of that deep reflection on why I'm choosing those things for the week. And then, like I said, there's those no goals, those things that are not serving you, you're getting rid of. Um, Here's some more examples of being, how you set this up to sort of make it all meld together. And then we're going to take a look at that to-do space that's right next door to it, over to the left of our major goals. And love these 2 examples. They use that space to the left of the goals to kind of expand those goals. So you can see the top one says, there's a self goal, a home goal, and a productivity goal. And then the to-dos have been turned into weekly intentions that support those goals directly. The one below it, same thing. There's those 3 goals, and there's a bingo board with the action items to support those goals. I love the one on the right. I always include this one because there is a daily check to make sure that each one of those things is being looked at and thought about. So that reminder. And then you can repurpose the space. You don't have to do 3 major goals if that's not what's speaking to you. And I had shared, I've changed up a couple of things this week. Mine is actually where it says good morning, that little checkbox. I'm really trying to lean into my start of the day habits and my end of the day habits. And so in this space, those are my good morning habits. And then I'm going to do a little midday check-in with myself because I'm really trying to embrace moving my body, making sure I haven't mindlessly spent the morning, piddling around and I haven't even moved, go outside and take a 10-minute walk at that check-in point. So I've kind of just changed mine up into really leaning in to those routines. And then there's also those self-love reminders. So, and then let me go to the to-do boxes. If you want, there are a lot of ways to set the to-dos up. Here are some great examples. Some people did stickers. You can divide these up into things that you want to do, like the one way over on the right, to read, to watch, to listen. The Eisenhower matrix, I include this every week because for somebody, it's going to speak to them. If you have a terribly long to-do list, take that to-do list and break it down into the Eisenhower matrix because you will be able to prioritize those things that really need to happen. I don't know about you. I procrastinate. I do the things that are easy, not the things that are hard. And then I didn't get those important, urgent things done. And then Katie and I were visiting at before our social, and she said, the things that to delete, maybe sometimes there's not things that can be deleted because you might be the only person who can get that done. But maybe you change that box to reflect more of a delay. Like this is just not going to be in my headspace right now. It's not going away, but it's not going to be in my headspace. And that helps kind of protect the things that you need to do so that you get those important things done. The Pomodoro method, love to just drop this in there as a reminder of a way to tackle those to-dos. It's that setting the alarm, working for 25-minute spurts, and then taking breaks, and then reevaluating where you are. Do you need to move on to another thing? Do you need to stop? And I'm at home as a retiree, but I use the Pomodoro method in my garage one day and just kind of did when I work well under pressure, so that time boxing is very motivating for me. And of course, pomodoro means tomato in Italian, and it was inspired by those little tomato um, little timers, kitchen timers. I thought that was kind of a fun fact. Also, your to-do list can be your to-feel list or a to-be list. How do you wanna be this week? You take what you need. Maybe productivity is not the top of mind this week. It's more about, reflecting inward and feeling how do you want to be? And then normally what I do is I leave the to-do list, the to-do box blank, and I list my ta-da moments. My to-dos go into my weekly spread, but the to-dos are reserved for anything extra that I do because I love to give myself credit for being able to write that down. Lots of folks love a bingo in the to-do space. And then again, what are we taking away? Maybe there's some to-don'ts that need to happen. So let's work on our goals and our to-dos. Share in the chat, how do you use this space? What speaks to you? What have you tried and it didn't work for you? Share those tips and tricks for Sonder family, and I'll be back to check in on you in just a few minutes. I want to very quickly bring up a really good point, a call out that Sarah dropped in the chat. And she said, it's only me at my apartment, so I can't really delegate to anyone else. And yes, I do hear that. I want to remind you guys though that there might be some ways that you can delegate to someone else that's outside of your immediate living space. And so perhaps that means that instead of spending time at Walmart doing the shopping, perhaps do an online order that you can pick up to hopefully save yourself some of that time, some of that mental space of shopping like that. So there might be some ways that you can delegate service in, into the world, or maybe there's someone who is in your life that there could be some things that could be swapped out, like perhaps you could swap dog walking services with plant care or something like that. So sometimes we have to be a little creative because we might not have that person that we can say, "Hey, could you go start that load of laundry?" But there might be some subtle things that we can put into place out in our world that we can say, "Okay, someone else is going to do this for me." Maybe you treat yourself to one meal a week being delivered, right? You cut somewhere else and you just have a meal delivered so that you don't have to think about that meal, or you just call in a beautiful salad somewhere and go pick it up, and then you didn't have to stand there and chop 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 chop. So there are some ways to use the services that are out in our world, and you're already doing some of that without thinking about it, right? Like maybe the coffee treat going through the drive-through, maybe that one morning a week, you really savor that and you honor that person that prepared that coffee for you, and you look at it as a little bit of a gift to yourself. So because it can be tricky if you're by yourself to like, how do I delegate this? You probably can't delegate somebody else to do the laundry, but find ways to give yourself that little gift of delegation. And now we're going to drop down to that bottom section where our habits and activities are. And this section is here because we do have that big habit tracker at the front end of our month, that big wheel. But this is the space that can reflect exactly what's going on this week. Right, Janice, the cats or dogs, they don't do laundry. I don't even know why we bother, right? um, and I just have a lot of examples here of how this space can be set up. You can set up goals with this, where they're tied into a number of times things are going to happen. You can just basically track when something happens. You can circle particular days that you want something to happen. And you can choose to only do a couple of things to track here, or you can choose to only track a certain number of days. Maybe this tracker becomes the habits at work and you only do, your work days here where you're tracking those things. So it's the beautiful thing about this tracker is it can be changed up every week depending on what you have going on in your life. There's not a right way or a wrong way to do this. Now, speaking of trackers and tracking and goal setting and checking things off, I want you to remember, be very good to yourself about those blank spaces. Those things that didn't happen or didn't go the way you had intended them to go, it's okay if you look at a habit tracker and it's blank, because I think those blank spaces are also part of the story of the week. And it's telling you that you either had a really tough week, you overplanned, and so then you can reevaluate the next time you're setting your habits and activities. I think they give you as much information when they're left blank as they give you when you check them off. So it's all about this self-care journey and doing what's right for us. So let me put on a little bit of music while you're doing your habits and activities, and let us know how you use this space. Do you tie it into a certain number, a certain amount of time each day? Do you just track the thing when it happens? Do you use all the days? Do you just do work days? Let us know what you do. And I'll be back to check in just a moment. love the call out to using this space for the rest of your tracker. And I have 3 things that I'm tracking this week, and they all have to do with my journal. So it's check the monthly habit tracker is on my weekly tracker, record my steps. I'm using my mood tracker as my step tracker this month. So I just want to visually see, and I'm color coding, like, if I get under 5,000 steps, that gets a certain color, 5,000, 6,000. So I'm color coding, and I did that last month, and I was very convicted. I, went for the orange ones because those were the more steps, and I didn't have very many color coded. So I'm using my mood tracker for my recording my steps. And then the third thing I'm tracking this week that has to do with my journal is going back to that daily highlight page to make sure that I'm doing that little fun daily reflection. And so I'm using my weekly habit and activity tracker to actually go back and deal with my journal and make sure I'm not missing those pages, because there's so many good ones in there. And as Marion said, I realize I'm missing out because I'm not being intentional at going back and looking at those. So now we're going to hop over to that next page of our weekly setup, page 33. Katie always refers to it as side B of the record album. The side A has all the great hits, and side B are like all the extras just to make that album. And so this is the page that we can do a lot of repurposing on all these spaces: the meal plan, the mind body space, the health plan, the shopping list, and that I am loving box. So I'm going to go through all of these slides, and I'll put on music and let you work on this whole page, because you may find that you put your meals over in the mind body health section because you want to use that meal space for something else. So again, another few lists are going to be here of ways to repurpose things that we've seen fellow Silk and Sonder users do. But I've also got some great examples to show you. So grab a screenshot if something jumps out at you. The one way over on the right, I love this. I saw this in Sonder Club this week. When life starts to feel crummy, she's done stop. And she's got some, take a shower because it soothes you, think positively, open up to a significant person in their life, prioritize meditation. So it's probably things that this person was already doing, but putting it on paper, that power of pen to paper, and seeing it as that visual reminder. So really wanted to share that with you. Again, love the meal planning, meal tracker space, because those boxes are beautiful for creating what you need in your journal. So here's going to just be a ton of different ways our Silk and Sonder family uses that space. Here's some ideas for the mind body health plan. I love the one over there on the right. There's a whole list of some just self-care treats, and it says just take what you need. You just pick one every day. Just pick one. They're not timed to a particular day. You just go and what do you need today? Take that away from there. The 5 minutes for me. Gosh, 5 minutes for me. That's huge. If you're if you're a stay-at-home parent and you just want to have 5 minutes, how can you be intentional with that? There's again some other ways. Love this one I throw in every now and then, just that mind body health. Get off my butt. I love that bottom graphic. You open that planner every week and you see or every day, it's going to remind you, get to moving, girl. How have you filled your cup? Things to try for this week. There's just some ideas for each day. And again, I'll go through all these so that you can grab screenshots. Maybe you take a challenge for the week where you do a week of gratitude, or do these like little journal prompts, that 1 week of gratitude, and you complete that each day. Some weekly intentions. We love the alliteration days. I think that's a very fun way to frame out any of these spaces, to where, the Motivation Monday, Talk It Out Tuesday, or Transformation Tuesday. I actually found this great graphic with lots of ways if you want to embrace alliteration in one of these spaces, so that you can kind of be intentional with those days. Maybe I love Would You Rather Wednesday. What a fun journal, self-journal reflection that you could do there. And then the shopping list, again, another little list of ways you can repurpose it, not exhaustive, but lots of different ways to use this space. Normally, I'm a bingo gal and I do a little bingo, like you see several examples of bingos on the slide. But remember, I was telling you, I'm really trying to work on that end of day routine, beginning of day routine. There's mine right under the ways to repurpose that shopping list. There's my good night routine. So I have that good morning routine and that good night routine. It's facing me every day when I open this journal. And then I have my daily check ins to make sure that I'm doing those things. So I'm kind of repurposing. I've really been a bingo purist for this space until that. And yes, Rebecca, that washi scraps, that little graveyard where the washi scraps go. It's just kind of fun, right? So you can again make this work for you where you are in a particular week. Again, some more ways to repurpose this, tracking your steps. Just a reminder, no unnecessary spending goes in the shopping list. Maybe you play Wordle, like that little tracker up at the top right there, and you just want to track those words that you guess. And then what are you loving right now? And I am going to share with you this quote: every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. And I was telling Katie, I have gone through the book Atomic Habits with James Clear many, many times, but about every 18 months or so, I'll listen to it. I do it on audio because he's talking to me and I feel like I'm getting a lesson. And that quote really spoke to me as I'm really trying to reframe how I'm embracing my health for this kind of last chapter of my life. I want to age gracefully with as much health and vitality as I can. And so he said, when you frame out that type of person you want to be, you ask yourself, what would a healthy person do? And then that guides your decision makings. And so I have written, what would a healthy person do, in lots of different spaces in my journal this week. So as I'm looking at food, I stop and ask myself, what would a healthy person do with this menu? And make my decisions based on that, because I am a healthy person. That's going to be my mindset. I am a healthy person, and asking myself that question. So let me put on a little bit of music. I'm going to go back and forth through these slides and let us know what you are doing in this space. my goodness, this time together flies. I know we've had so much information this morning, so no overwhelm. Just grab screenshots if something speaks to you. I have ended up keeping you over class a little bit. I was always the last one to carpool when I taught kindergarten because I just talked so much. Thank you so much for sharing this morning, for being part of this very special Monday morning group. I get to be with you every Monday this month. So I'll look forward to seeing you next Monday. Here are those QR codes that are so important to us. Katie's going to drop direct links there. You will also receive a follow up email. We ask you to fill out that survey because that's how we keep making improvements. Also, Katie's going to drop a link into this Enneagram Exploration exclusive with Meha and Beth Cooper. And that's if you are interested in that, you might want to check that out. And I think there was some questions about, do you need to take a quiz? I think you can. I think they're going to share more information about that, but this will be a generally based kind of social, because the Enneagram is way more than what you can do in an hour and a half. So there's that. There's my playlist for the day. If you'd like to grab that, I do a playlist for every month. I'll share the link as we go out of here and make it a great Monday. Thank you for joining us. Remember, you're special today, Sonder family. I'll see you next time.